Today we're going to be taking a look at Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar is claimed to be one of the most notable guy in the UFO community. A lot of people believe him. He sounds believable. He stuck and he stayed his ground and he said the same thing for years and years. And this is one of those things, right? Because yep, if somebody says one thing and another a year later once they're questioned again, then sure, yeah, it's probably lies. But this guy has said the same thing years ago and he's now saying the same thing, and we're gonna be taking a look at this guy because ever since he came out we've had some and several people coming out with high-ranking military background, a lot of those whistleblowers coming out and talking about the UFOs and aliens, but no one was really like Bob Lazar. And in the last month and in the past year, all of this news has ramped up and there has been so many whistleblowers now coming out. Guys, like this video, subscribe if you're brand new, and check this out.
Right, this came from somewhere else. I mean, as bizarre as that is to believe, but I mean, it's there. I saw it. I know what the current state of the art is, and
that's one of his original interviews.
Physics, and it can't be done.
This time may not be the first time you would hear the words Area 51. Area 51 is a name for the not-so-secret military outpost in the Nevada desert. Area 51 has been central to many conspiracy theories over the years.
Yep.
Many believe that Area 51 has been holding extraterrestrial life behind its heavily guarded
and now the new rumor around the street here is that it's not Area 51, it's Area 52. Oh shit! Area 51 is basically the shield. Area 51 is basically the one that takes the blame, but it's Area 52 in all reality. That's the word around the street.
Walls for the longest time. The presence of extraterrestrial life in Area 51 remains labeled as a conspiracy because there has never been sufficient data to back up these claims. Looking at the level of secrecy that shrouds the base and all the operations there, this is no surprise. Area 51 itself is a highly classified military base located in southern Nevada.
Yeah.
The Lake Edwards Air Force Base is in charge of the operations at the base, although all facts tilt towards the base being nothing more than a flight testing facility. It has remained under speculation regarding extraterrestrial life.
I do believe that they had something there, but it got so much public attention, and I think because of it they were like, okay, we gotta cut with this, we gotta chill with this, we gotta move that to somewhere else. If the claims were real, if this is really true, I would like to believe that Area 51 is just a shield. It's to take the blame and people believe it. But what if we really had that real Area 51 raid happen? If that raid really happened, you know, back in the days when everybody was like, let's storm Area 51. If that really happened, man, we might have found the aliens though.
One of the biggest reasons for this is that over the years, there have been various claims of UFO sightings around the base. The military base was dubbed Area 51 since it was labeled on the Atomic Energy Commission maps. We know that Area 51 has a long history of testing out cutting-edge aircraft for the United States military and intelligence organizations. Many stealth planes, bomber jets, and drones have been tested on this facility, and whatever is okayed by the base is certain to be the best of the best. Research concerning aeronautics, radar systems, and weapon systems is also carried out in the enigmatic facility. The high secrecy surrounding the facility has propelled rumors and various theories, some of the most popular being that the site houses an alien spaceship and the bodies of...
I wouldn't be shocked if they already have laser weapons. I wouldn't be shocked because whatever we have as technology in public, that they are light years ahead. They're at least 50 years ahead. The stuff that they got right now, it's years advanced. It's light years ahead, and we're surely not going to be able to see any of that technology anytime soon. Most of it probably is classified. Probably a lot of it will stay classified for years to come, but I would like to believe that some will become public in the future.
The pilots controlling said spaceship, who died in a crash in Roswell, New Mexico. It is said that the wreckage was swept up swiftly by the government and taken to Area 51 for reverse engineering, and the bodies were taken for examination. There are rumors that Area 51 is a hub of active communication and collaborations with extraterrestrial life forms. People also think these life forms have supplied the United States government with false extraterrestrial abductions or holographic projections of extreme religious events. Perhaps that is how the idea of the Illuminati and other religious and satanic cults was birthed. Area 51 is also believed to serve as a portal to other dimensions, allowing the United States government to gain access to alternate realities and parallel.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Okay, this is the first time I'm hearing this. This is the first time. This theory on which I just paused, that's the first time I'm hearing this. I never heard about it. Even yeah, I have a little bit of knowledge, I would say, on Area 51 and other stuff. I mean, obviously, whatever is in the news. Is it really true? Is it not? You gotta think of this way, right? There's probably, if there is truth out there, there's disinformation out there. If there's truth out there, there's false information out there as well. Because they do plant. In fact, there was a CIA guy that was known. Dr. Stephen Greer made his documentary, and he had that CIA plant guy in the mix that gave his public testimony, and he did say that yep, they did lie, and they did try to plant disinformation. And I believe that that's common practice. So what's real? What's not real?
Parallel worlds. The United States government, however, has never come out to accept these claims as true or come forward to admit the existence of these extraterrestrial life forms, or even the presence of alien technology in Area 51. The government has bluntly denied its involvement in activities involving UFO or extraterrestrial life form sightings, ticking to all claims that Area 51 remains a testing and research facility for military weapons. Even after the government laid all allegations to rest concerning Area 51 and its involvement in anything that concerns alien individuals and technology, or even anything outside of its routine testing and research activities to beef up national security and defense, conspiracy theorists and
okay, just cut the cap.
Wrong.
Cut the cap here, okay? Beef up technology. Not long ago, they were shooting Chinese balloons. Balloon came from China. Balloon came from China, right? Then they took down a couple of UFOs. That's what they called it. Wreckage was, they did show the wreckage for the first balloon, Chinese lantern balloon, whatever they called it. And then they shot down a couple of UFOs. That's what they claimed, but they never showed us the wreckage. It is a little bizarre, man. It is a little bizarre. But I get it. Like, balloons can get through, maybe, perhaps.
Hawkeye observers have not ceased to keep their eyes away from this facility. They try to glean anything remotely resembling a little green man. Now, Area S4 is the designated even more secretive location posted several kilometers south of Area 51. It is at this location Bob Lazar reveals that he worked in the late 1980s. Lazar revealed that he was employed to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. This revelation from a perceived insider was all the public needed to hear for the I Knew It's to start rolling out. His admission has renewed the public's interest concerning this topic and has raised debates amongst the general public. Bob Lazar revealed that he had been recruited by Edward Teller, a veteran physicist and one of the pioneers of the creation of the hydrogen bomb. He claimed he had been employed to work on a project tagged Galileo, which included the reverse engineering of extraterrestrial spaceships at a facility called S4.
Yep.
S4 is rumored to be about 15 miles south of Area.
Man, these AI channels are really getting very, very good. This is created by AI, guys. Holy, right? Like, absolute insanity we're living. And here's the thing, guys. This is gonna make you think. If you really think about it, mankind and humanity has been here for thousands of years, if not millions, right? I wouldn't, millions, probably not millions, like hundreds of thousands, let's just say. It has been around for thousands of years, okay? We had paintings in the past where we've seen like shape of UFOs and stuff like that. So it's clear to me that somebody back in those days, when we didn't have technology, when we didn't have cameras, probably would have witnessed the crafts, might have encountered, maybe even talked with them or something. And throughout our history, in fact, just last couple of decades, there has been many claims being made. This is a very famous UFO case that happened, I believe, one in China, one in Africa, where school kids did see the actual beings in broad daylight, the UFOs being landed. Like, we're talking hundreds of school kids seeing that, and now they have all grown up and they say the same thing, that what they said 20 years ago, 30 years ago was not lies. That's what they saw, and that's what that was their experience. My point here is that we had so many different encounters over the years, and so much more probably happened that never came to fruition, never came to the news, never came to the light. You're telling me after all these years, after having cameras in our pockets, in our back pockets, in our front pockets, literally, this phone is literally a computer, can record everything in HD. All these years, we couldn't capture one video of an alien being. Something is just, I don't know, man. Does that mean that they can hide themselves? Does that mean that they can camouflage themselves and they can cloak themselves? Is that what it is? Because we should have at least have one video by now of the ET, right? Like running around, little gray alien running around or something.
Area 51. Bob Lazar claimed to have been privileged to inspect an alien spacecraft known as the Sport model, which he claimed was powered by an anti-meta reactor that utilized the element 115 for fuel. He further claimed that he had read briefing documents from the United States government where it was mentioned that extraterrestrial life had been involved in the affairs of humans for the last 10,000 years.
Damn.
Lazar's consistent appearance in public interviews has brought fresh public interest in what truly goes on in Area 51. Lazar has sat through several podcasts and interviews where he reveals more and more details of his employment in this S4 facility. He claims to have witnessed several of the test flights of these alien spacecraft. He revealed that these spacecraft...
I'm not sure if he's going to mention this or not, but I want to bring up real quick, element 115 was not on the periodic table, and he did talk about it, and guess what? Now it is in our periodic table.
Oh shit!
And he did talk about it before it was on it. So yeah, I do believe he has some credibility. Some people would believe that he's like a matrix agent, government agent, and if you believe that, that's completely fine. At the end of the day, I would like to welcome all conversation, every topic, because this is a bigger topic. We should not all believe it blindly, but we should not dismiss it either, right?
Performed maneuvers that defied many laws governing physics. Some of these maneuvers include acts like hovering, accelerating, and disappearing. Lazar first became a public figure in 1989 when he was interviewed by George Knepp, who was working at
89.
KISS Television Las Vegas at the time. Initially, Bob preferred to remain anonymous, choosing a pseudonym. He was referred to as Dennis, and he spoke exclusively in silhouette. Sometime later, he appeared devoid of disguise and used his government name. Without hiding behind shadows and a false name, Lazar made some heavy allegations against the United States government. He spun some wild tales about how the United States government owned 9 spacecraft that were crashed or captured from another planet. He mentioned that one of these 9 spacecraft was shaped like a saucer, like the ones in the movies. Bob further explains that he was part of a government...
If you really think about it, like the movies, all of this imagination must have come from somewhere, right? Who was the first human to draw a UFO? Like on a piece of paper. Who was the first human to draw an alien being, like big eyes, small nose? Because these are the details we hear about every single time. Imagination does not come like that, right? You must have seen something, and then you think about that, you come up with something brand new, but it still has taken inspiration from your experience, what you have seen and heard, and you know what I mean, right? So yeah, that's the first thing. Secondly, I lost my thought. I'll keep playing if I come back to that.
Hired crew that reverse engineered these spacecraft to provide the propulsion secrets needed by American scientists to pave the way to the stars. Bob
Lazar did claim that he has seen 9 crafts, whether that's real or not, but guess what? Back in 2021, I believe, or 2020, you can Google it with keywords, Pentagon did confirm that they have acquired vehicles from other worlds, some like that, that are not on this earth. And we recently had a whistleblower just a couple of days ago. He also did say the same as well. Pentagon confirmed it too. So whether you want to believe Bob Lazar or not, Pentagon did confirm it. Does that mean that Pentagon is lying? Does that mean that they're speaking the truth? I don't know, man.
Lazar made more claims about getting fired from the super secret military site because he had allegedly led some of his companions into the desert near the Area 51 base one evening. where they would secretly observe a source of one of the test flights. A Lincoln County constable had caught the gang as they tried to leave the base and reported them to the authorities. Lazar had talked about some of the test flights he had observed. He described that all the 9 spacecraft he had seen during that test flight were in peak working conditions and had all operated without any glitches at all. However, he noted that one of the flying discs looked like some flying object had hit it. He also observed that the spacecraft had a large hole on the top and the metal looked bent out of shape.
Damn.
Lazar believed that that ship had come from somewhere else that was not Earth. The inside of the ship spurred this realization. Bob had gotten a good look inside the flying disc and noticed something strange. The furniture was a dead giveaway. The craft had small chairs that couldn't fit a petite human. Lazar revealed that some of these alien spacecraft were demolished to understand how the engineering worked so that they could better adapt to human aircraft innovations. Bob further talked about another test he was privileged to witness. He mentioned that the aircraft's bottom glowed blue and started to hiss as high voltage would on a round sphere. Lazar believed the aircraft was shaped.
You guys ever heard the rumors or stuff like this where people claim, or you ever heard the claims that the RGB lights that we have actually came from aliens?
Oh shit!
That they were the one to give that technology to us. Have you ever heard something like that? Because I did. And it kind of makes sense to me, because all of a sudden, like, we had nothing, right? Nothing. I mean, we had something. We were making cars and this and that. But all of a sudden, right? Like, we started getting these phones, right? And technology started getting better. We advance. Normally, you advance like this, right? You go like this. But we advance like this. Just slow burn, and then all of a sudden you go like this. I get it, that's a compounding effect, and truly compounding effect works like this. But still though, you would have to think, like, holy technology now, the stuff that we have now, they are light years ahead. The military is light years ahead. 50 years, I wouldn't be surprised. 50 years, just a number that they used to say like years ago. I wouldn't be surprised if they are 100 years away in that technology.
Like so, without any sharp edges,
They
to
have.
contain the high voltage properly. He mentioned that the test was short. All that happened was that the aircraft was lifted off the ground till it reached about 20 to 30 feet into the air. After a few moves, it landed. Although it was a short test flight, Lazar stated that he was still astonished as the aircraft was lifted off the ground without any visible propellers, jet engine, or without producing exhaust gas to show that any fuel was utilized. For all purposes and intent, it could as well have been magic that levitated the aircraft. According to Lazar, these spacecraft were not used for any flying expeditions to Jupiter. He maintained that the excessive caution and intense secrecy surrounding these explorations were a great source of dissatisfaction for him, because he could not understand why they would not share these projects with the whole of the scientific community. He found it outright unfair because he felt the community was more capable of dealing with certain information.
He wanted, I heard his interview as well. He during, I believe, Joe Rogan podcast, he wanted, the thing that he couldn't understand was that, like, dog, we have a bunch of scientists, let's just say 10 people there, right? Why tell just one part about the UFO to one guy? Just tell everything to all 10 people, and we can collectively come together and work on it and solve the problem that you're having and come to solutions and reverse engineer it. And it's gonna be a lot more faster if you're only gonna give us breadcrumbs, just like how you open this glass, not glass, but how you open this bottle to one guy, how you remove the cap to another guy, how you put water to another guy. It's gonna take a lot of time. Just tell us all collectively. But I think the reason was simple. They were trying to make sure that if a leak happens, you are on the need to know, right? You're only on the need to know. If this information gets out there, we want to track it down, we want to know who leaked it, and also not one person should know all. And it's basically information, it's just a control. They want to make sure that the information doesn't leak out, and also people don't know everything.
Probably would have gotten much further with the experiments if the whole project were not shrouded in secrecy. Lazar further complained about the lack of wisdom in keeping the projects a secret, because the desert facility needed more facilities to properly analyze what they would be dealing with. One of Lazar's closest friends, Gene Huff, had described the pressure Bob was facing from the military. He mentioned that random security checks had been dropped by his house often, and they had gone as far as threatening his wife's life. Huff himself is not a scientist of any kind, but is merely a real estate appraiser. He had only become aware of his friend's involvement in the S4 program after a while of his friend's involvement in the project. Lazar wants the world to understand that he did not spew the government's secret out of spite. On the contrary, he was doing it because he felt it should not be kept this much of a secret. Some parts of the process...
he also was worried. He was also worried for his life, right? And then the news media was like, just come forward, show your face, and they're not gonna kill you, which, yeah, he, in a way, he did the right thing in that, but they were never trying to kill him from his own understanding based on the stuff that he said. That I'm just simply telling you what he said, and from his own understanding, he then realized that they were never trying to kill him. It's just that his wife was, I believe, cheating with another man, and they were worried for his mental health, like if he's gonna find that out, because they were keeping a tab, they were listening to him and people around his life, his wife, essentially. They were wiretapping his wife's phone and listening to the conversation, and they discovered that, yep, his wife was cheating. And what if Bob finds out? What if Bob hears about it, right? Then it's gonna affect his mental health, and we do not want his mental health being affected, because if he's angry, if he's sad, if he's upset, he might leak the information, he might not be fully there, and he might not be able to keep that secret. I believe that was their biggest worry, and that's what they were worried about. But the way they started acting towards Bob never knew initially, right? But then Bob was like, holy shit, they're acting differently, they don't want me here, so they're probably trying to kill me off because I know a lot of stuff, I know way too much. And then he was like, okay, I'm gonna go and spill the beans. And then later on the news was like, okay bro, this time just show the face, because initially he did not show his face. The second time I believe he done the interview, he showed his face, and that was it. Basically, they tried to remove his past, they removed his birth certificate, his education was gone completely, and yeah, they really try to silence him in a way, and discredit.
Should be kept away from the public eye, but shrouding the whole process in secrecy was unwise. Since the question of whether or not humans were alone had plagued civilization for a while, and had potentially been answered, there was more reason to reveal what was hidden. Fueled by outrage concerning the government's excessive secrecy, Lazar had taken Huff and a couple of others to the military base to show them what was happening. For 2 consecutive weeks, this band of 5 had managed to sidestep security to behold the testing of these spacecraft for themselves. They had witnessed...
And Area 51 is all about buffing national security, bro. National...
Bombocad!
For 2 weeks, they were able to see.
The strange crafts soar over the mountains. Huff had his account of one of the sightings. He vividly described the incident. He said the craft he had witnessed had come up above the mountain he had been hiding out. It hovered around for a bit before plummeting to the ground quite dramatically, after which the craft merely floated about and cruised leisurely before resuming its ascent of the mountain. Twice, Lazar's stories were corroborated by other eyewitness accounts of strange sightings, which sounded quite similar to everything Lazar had given an account of.
We even have a video from that day where Bob actually brought his friends to the base and they witnessed the UFO making those shapes. But the video is in very bad quality. You cannot really make too much out of it. You just see like a laser beam going around, and if that is to be believed, if you believe that's a UFO, then holy shit, the moves he was making was crazy. Yeah, he did not show that video. I don't know what you need to type to find that.
We cannot, in good faith, ignore stories that eyewitnesses have corroborated. There is most likely an element of truth within, even if we do not want to admit it. Huff, too, had granted a second interview concerning some of the sightings he had seen. He mentioned that this time they had viewed the sightings through the lens of a telescope. He describes the aircraft he had seen as being elliptical. They had also concluded that the craft was light in weight, judging from the speed at which it had flown past them. It had gradually glowed stronger and brighter. They feared it would explode at some point. However, the hardy floating object didn't explode. The craft had just floated around and glowed, and at some point had come dangerously close to where they had been. But Lazar and his friend had taken shelter behind a car they had been hiding in to watch the scenes unfold. The craft then moved down, shining a bit, and very quietly drifted back towards the mountains from where it had come, hovered for a while, and touched down in the same fashion you see it done in the movies. Lazar is not the only one who has come out to claim first-hand knowledge about these spacecraft at the test site. He, however, is the only one who has been quite vocal about his knowledge of them to the public. A technician in a highly sensitive position had mentioned that it was common knowledge to those with high security clearances that recovered alien discs are stored in the Nevada test facility. And a Las Vegas professional who served as military personnel posted at Area 51 claimed to have seen a flying disc land around the test site. He mentioned that after he had witnessed this occurrence, he was immediately surrounded by several military personnel and was carted away and debriefed for several hours non-stop.
Of course, he knows too much. And seeing that rocket here, right, this reminded me of because we heard stories where the UFOs tried to activate the nukes and disable the nukes, and also they were caught flying around the rocket areas. Actually, very fascinating story. And this is not a rumor. This is not from like a guy around walking around the street and seeing a UFO in the sky, seeing maybe like a balloon and thinking it's a UFO. It actually dead as happened at military bases and shit like that goes down, which is and they do not know how their nukes system shut down, like their facility shut down, and how they were able to do that. It is actually concerning. It's like if they can shut down, then they can also enable it, if you think about it, right? Crazy times we're living in, man.
Another technician who used to work at Groom Lake had filed a report on how he had erringly stepped into the wrong hangar and was faced with what seemed to resemble a metallic disc hidden behind a tarp. Many individuals in lab coats had attended to this odd-shaped aircraft. Another individual, an airman who had served at Nellis at a radar post, revealed that he and a few of his fellow service members had witnessed odd things flying over the Groom Mountain over a 5-night span. He also claimed that the radar photographs show other things zooming into range at over 7,000 miles per hour and then stopping on a dime. The good airman had stated that nothing they had at the facility could move at such speeds. The airman mentioned that when rumors of the sightings had spread, he had been instructed to turn off his radar sensors for that area and not talk to anyone about it, because it had never happened. While all of these may be explained by some other secret program, instead of it being that the United States government is flying crafts obtained from extraterrestrials,
God damn.
Bob Lazar remains adamant that it is the advanced technology of extraterrestrials. The Navy has also been approached to investigate these claims and said that Lazar seems bent on spreading. The Navy has denied having any materials in its files. The Naval Research Laboratory stated that it did a comprehensive search, but came up with nothing to give credence to the existence of these objects. The Naval Intelligence had conferred with the research team and mentioned that it was not necessary to create a file over something that did not exist. Yet, Bob Lazar was also corroborated by a polygraph test administered by Terry Tavaretti, who worked in corporate security for a big Las Vegas hotel property.
Man, this guy, I'm telling you, bro, like, they put him through so many tests. Crazy. People were, every time he goes on interview, even if the times he doesn't, the times that he's not talking about the UFOs and the alien crap, people are still like watching his like eye movement, every small twitches movement. Scientists are ready, experts are ready, body language experts are ready. I remember watching a body language expert video on YouTube. It's a very good video, right? Because after he done this deadass for real happened, after he finished doing his Joe Rogan podcast, there were body language experts that were talking about it. They were making videos, and in fact I saw one video and the guy actually did say that if he's a liar, then he's a very good liar, because from the stuff that he said and the way he acted, not even acted because he was simply describing and stuff, the way he was talking, there was zero proof of deceit, so that, in other words, he was basically not lying and he was telling the truth. And in fact, like years ago when he first came out with this story, he went on like Polygraph. Reminds me, I'm currently watching Money Heist, so you know that scene when Professor is having that polygraph test. Yeah, so damn, either he's a genius, liar, professional liar, or he's speaking the truth, guys.
After spending years serving in the police force in Southern California, Terry had administered thousands of polygraph exams to the hotel personnel, specifically the casino personnel, and was regarded as one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
30 years later, Terry still has the test sheets and machine.
Damn.
Recently,
here's the thing, right? Another argument here, and I could definitely be wrong, but I hear stuff like this. You guys correct me if you have knowledge. You hear shit like this where, because yeah, they never use this in courtroom for a reason, because it's not 100% concrete, but they still wanna, you know, it's one of those things, like if somebody makes that massive of a claim, yeah, do polygraph, we'll know if you're speaking the truth or not. And if this says, yeah, you're speaking the truth, then we're probably gonna believe you. Not fully though, but we're gonna believe you. There's this theory that you can pass through these tests if you really believe what you're saying. It might have never happened, it might be a lie, but if you believe it, then you're gonna be able to pass the polygraph test as authentic, right? These are the theories you hear. This is kind of like the word around the street. I'm not sure how much of that is true or not. Just wanted to simply bring that up, because if he's a liar, maybe he really believes what he's saying, and then he doesn't have to think, because when you think, blood pressure or blood goes through your vessels inside the brain, and all polygraph is doing is just measuring your blood speed and the pressure. Where exactly is it going? Because obviously when you're trying to lie and come up with something, blood is going somewhere in the brain, so it measures that, and if the pressure is too much, then they're like, okay, that's a lie, he's thinking. Probably it's not as easy as me explaining that. It's probably complicated. It's probably way more complicated, but that's kind of like the general consensus, the general understanding I have from my limited knowledge.
Terry was asked if he believed Bob Lazar was right in his claims, and his response was a straightforward and confident yes. At the time, Lazar had agreed to a polygraph test at the prompting of Class TV, where he had given his first interview concerning these UFO sightings. The initial tests had been inconclusive. The examiner, who was not Terry Tavaretti, had thought Bob to have been too nervous that getting an accurate read from him would have been difficult. Tavaretti was then recruited to conduct the test. He had questioned Lazar about his claims of having seen a flying disc at the S4 base and how the vehicle had been powered by an anti-meta reactor and generated its gravity. To Terry's amazement, Bob had passed the test with flying colors. Terry, who did not believe in UFOs, recalled what had been going through his head then. He mentioned that what he had been hearing was unbelievable, but again, his polygraph machines did not lie. Two strange things occurred after the exam, further cementing the possibility of these claims in Terry's mind. The first was that he had been called before his employers, who had told him that unknown federal agents had called them to question why their employee was getting involved in something he had no business getting involved in. The second event occurred roughly 2 months after the first. Terry's house was burgled, leading him to believe that whoever had done that had attempted to steal Bob Lazar's polygraph test. Perhaps he was telling the truth after all. There have been many more sightings of these UFOs, proof of individual sightings, people coming across strange floating objects, or worse, humanoid creatures.
Guys, click on this video on the screen. This is another one of those cases. There are a lot of people giving their testimony, and it's a must you watch this video. Click on this video on the screen. On the left, we have another one. Check these videos out, guys. They don't want you seeing that, and I will see you right